3 years after the IRS admitted to targeting conservative groups, we are finally seeing the list of groups that were actually singled out by the IRS. And the number is a lot higher than originally reported. Take a look there. It turns out 426 groups were targeted for extra scrutiny. And many of them are conservative groups that have words like T, Patriot, Liberty, and Constitution in their titles. Joining me right now is the president of Citizens for Self-Governance, Mark Meckler. His nonprofit conservative group was not targeted by the IRS, but he's financing a class action lawsuit against the IRS. Mark, welcome. Good to have you here. I know you saw this newly released list, and you believe actually the IRS included more liberal groups into this list after the investigations began in order to make it look like, all groups were being scrutinized. Explain your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Well, the important thing to note is that this list that's been produced by the IRS was not requested by the plaintiffs or their attorneys, was not requested by the court, but was produced voluntarily, quote unquote, by the IRS. And I think really as a fabrication as part of the PR campaign to say nothing to see here. And the reason I believe that so strongly is the actual documents, the actual lists that were produced contain over 1,000 individual documents that they classify as lists of targeted entities. So this list that they produced is just for PR purposes, has nothing to do with reality. And when we go back and analyze the list that they've produced, what it shows is that the early lists contain only conservative groups, and only after the IRS was under scrutiny did they begin to add names to the list that you could call progressive or liberal names.
I see. So once they realized they were in hot water, they had to do something to make it look like they were a little less biased in terms of who they went after. What was their motivation in your view?
Well, the motivation is the continuing cover-up of the actual scandal. The scandal itself is that, in my opinion, under the direction of this administration, or at least the condoning by the administration of targeting conservative groups, that started with the president at the State of the Union address complaining about Citizens United, complaining about freedom of political speech. The IRS systematically went after conservative groups. When it started to be exposed, they knew they were in trouble, and that's when the cover-up began. And so often the case, the cover-up is as bad as the crime itself. They are now conducting a PR campaign attempting to prove that they are innocent in this case.
If you are able to prove that the IRS deliberately did this and then tried to cover it up, I mean, it seems to me, other than, awarding some of these groups that had to go through the pain of dealing with the IRS settlements, that there should be something bigger happening in the way of penalties.
There should be. I agree with that. First of all, John Koskinen, the head of the IRS commissioner right now, should be impeached. And I think we have to question why Congress is not proceeding with impeachment hearings. He's been shown to have lied to Congress, shown to have covered up what the IRS did. The second question today, right now, that we should be asking is who caused the production of this list, this 426 name list, this fake list? Who demanded that that be produced? Who caused the production of that list? How high does that production go? These are important questions for the media, and Congress should be looking into this immediately.
Yeah, and it seems to me, I mean, this, frankly, Mark, it's criminal. If you are deliberately telling people to go after certain groups or certain individuals, if you were using the hand of government in that way, it's pretty serious stuff.
It's really serious stuff. And look, most Americans fear the IRS more than any agency in the federal government. There's a good reason, because they use these kind of heavy-handed tactics against people they don't like. Lois Lerner, to go into the Wayback Machine, she took the fifth I believe, because she had done things that were wrong and things that were potentially criminal and didn't want to speak about them. The American people need to and deserve to get to the bottom of this.
Absolutely. More transparency, please, soon and fast. Mark, thank you so much. Good to have you here.